Alright, everybody, welcome back to Cool's Reviews. We are nearing our 100th episode. This isn't it yet, but we're getting close. And it's quite amazing to think we started with just some Project Blue Book episodes with some short reviews, and it's divulged into this series and then our actual podcast, Cool's Reviews Deep Dives, where we go a lot more in depth, and usually we have lots of guests. But me and Sam enjoy watching movies, and you know, Westerns are a big theme on the channel, but today we're going to check out a lesser known one, mainly because I think people kind of just stick to the main Western branch, where Western has evolved over time, and you got to stay alive. And today we are looking at a horror Western from 2008 called The Burrowers. It's a fun one. It's definitely Sam's first time watching it, right, Sam?
Oh yeah. I mean, most of the movies we watch, it's my first time watching it. I mean, besides obviously a few like Spider-Man.
Well, see,
I think
I have some good
I
horror
think that's it.
westerns I think you'll enjoy. I'm excited to see where you land with this one, but I have some other ones I'm saving, but they have vampires and stuff. But this one, it starts off pretty normal, I guess, for what you'd consider just a western, but just a family just living out on the prairie. But then they're quickly, actually, it opens up on a dream sequence
Hmm.
where a protagonist and Marianne is the girl he's courting, and he's kind
Trying
of
to court. He's
it,
kind of mentioned.
yeah, and then it jumps to her family, and he's not there, and they get attacked. And early on, you don't really see what attacks them. And we're gonna do an early non-spoilery version, so this is kind of counting for that. But we'll just say it gets interesting. Sam, any non spoilers you want to divulge?
I mean, it started off like most westerns. It got interesting when they hid under the floors, though. I mean, they probably did it back in those times for when the Native Americans maybe have came in and attacked. It was definitely quite interesting. Kind of kicked it off pretty quickly, almost.
Yeah, we'll be back in Lincoln here to try the best burgers in New Mexico here in a couple months, and they have something called the Torian there, which was something where the locals would go if the Native Americans, the Indians came in were attacking. They go huddled together. So definitely they're taking this kind of from history. Obviously, it's a little bit different when you're wide open on the prairie versus in a small town.
Right.
But I will say, just having seen the poster before you went in, what were you kind of expecting?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, something like a Tremors, like a Tremor type thing, which it kind of was
Right,
ish.
right.
Different though.
Yeah, kind of. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. It's
Yeah, there's not much I could really say without kind of spoiling
spoiler.
anything.
Well, let's break down some of the other facets of the film. What did you think with cinematography with this one?
I thought it was pretty decent. It wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, no, I don't know 100% what the budget was for this one, but for the budget, it's filmed rather well. Unfortunately, like a couple of the night scenes, you can tell they did the trick of filming during the day and then putting a filter over it,
Hmm.
which is always something that bugs me. But for outside of that, the cinematography is really good, I think, especially considering what the budget was, which can't be very much. There's really only one actor that people might know in this one, Clancy Brown, and he gets something happens to him pretty early, or well before the halfway point, I will say. I mean, a couple of the actors looked familiar, but I looked up their IMDb's while I was watching it, and I was like, I don't think I've seen anything, so I'm not sure why they looked familiar. But like Sam said, the cinematography is, I think, pretty well done. There's some nice shots and nice composition. How do you think the acting was?
The acting was pretty. I thought it was. I thought it was good. I mean, there were some people that had moments of just either they. Well, we'll get into that, but I thought it was definitely pretty good.
No, I think the acting is pretty good. Obviously, this isn't like a 10 out of 10 movie, but underrated, I would say, and definitely one that I think more people should watch. I think it's enjoyable. It's short. I think if anything, there's a attraction. It would probably be the ending, and we'll get to that. I'm not upset with how it ended. It's just we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But before we get to spoilers, because it's pretty much how we're gonna have to talk about this movie. Sam, what is your rating, and do you recommend it?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10, and yeah, I would recommend it. I thought it was a decent horror film. Creatures
Yeah,
are a little interesting looking, but
sh- sh-
you said it was a horror. Okay,
it's a horror film. There's Western horrors.
true. That's a valid point. I mean, but everything in the Western time was kind of a horror for the most part.
Right, yeah, there's definitely
I mean,
parts of this that
look at the Red Dead game. That's a great
right,
example of some of the weird stuff you find out in the middle of nowhere, just
right.
riding off in the desert.
There's definitely parts of this where I was like, it feels like this could be like a Red Dead like add-on game, like where they're like, hey, look, we got this little, you know, I don't know, couple hour little add-on you guys can purchase and play, kind of like Red Dead Undead, the first
Hmm.
one, where they made that little add-on game. I feel like this could make a good Red Dead 2 add-on.
I
So
doubt they would do it.
yeah,
Another undead thing, which I'm surprised they didn't.
yeah, they hinted at it. There's that little Easter egg. I'm surprised they really didn't do any add-ons, but I guess they were trying to do more of their online multiplayer stuff, which didn't work, unfortunately. Like most
Well,
online,
it worked for GTA. Why not the same with that one?
it's a little bit different in GTA.
I know, but they were trying.
They were trying. But hey, good news. There's gonna be a Red Dead 3 here sometime soon. They're at least working on it. So, but back to the film. I will say for me, I'm probably 6.5. I think it's pretty enjoyable. Like I said, it's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about it. I've seen a couple maybe YouTubers bring it up. Maybe YouTubers that specifically talk about westerns because they're covering so much, and that's what I like. And at some point, we're gonna do a kind of overview of the western genre because I think so many people kind of have one idea of what the western is, but it is really diverse. I mean, you think of this western, you think of like your good, the bad, the ugly type of western. There's Hell or High Water. There's Django Unchained, Blazing Saddles, Star Wars. I guess some people, The Mandalorian, maybe more of a western than the normal one. Then there's even one about ramen noodles called Tampopo. So the western genre is diverse, and that's something that hopefully we can showcase to you guys. And with that being said, you guys know our rating. We recommend it. Go watch it. If you've watched it and you want to be spoiled or listen to how we feel about the entire movie, stay on here and listen to what we're about to say because we're getting into spoilers. So, Sam, what are your thoughts now that we can talk spoilers?
There was parts that I was really confused by, and there was parts that were like really dark.
Hmm.
Like I was watching with my some of the night scenes. I was just like, oh, it's fine. And then there was one that was going on, and I was just like, I have to turn my light off because I can't see what is happening.
Was it when he was running through the forest at the end?
Oh, it was before that. It was like it shifting around in the grass, or like shifting around as a blade of grass or something.
Hmm.
Like it was like the first night after they get with the army. That is what I assume they are.
Yeah, like a regiment,
Yeah, like with
cavalry.
the first night with the regiment. Like that scene was like really dark when it was just on the blades of grass.
Yeah, and I
The other scene, that like ending scene, was also super dark, but I was fine with it.
points. I do like the darkness for the fact it builds the tension
Hmm.
because the monster design I like it, but I'm not 100% on board with it.
Right?
It is like you said. Very, I guess, like an homage in a way, or loosely inspired by like Tremors 2, if that makes sense.
Kinda, if they were like shaped like grasshoppers.
Yeah, it's weird because you think if you've not seen the movie, obviously you know they're not Native American Indians, whatever. Pretty early on, like there's a couple hints to it that you're like, oh, that doesn't look like a human hand. But at the same time, when you finally see the monster, it doesn't really fit the biology that I was thinking of.
Right.
Like
I
for
mean, when you
them,
physically see them, it's more towards the end. Like you
yeah,
kind of see them. Mm, it's not towards the end. It's like 3/4 of the way there.
it's
Like
pretty
there's a scene where
close
you kind of see that like face.
at the campfire.
Yeah. And like
Yeah,
even then, it's like really quick, so you don't really get it or like really understand what it is. You're just like, oh, that thing's fucking
weird.
like hairless. It's like a hairless thing.
Yeah, which I guess makes sense because they're living underground, kind of like those naked mole rats.
Hmm.
And I will say though, for like prop design, the ones at the end where they've been like drugged to like just be drowsy or whatever,
Hmm.
and they've been staked in the ground, it looks good.
It
Like
does.
they made good models. Like they're breathing, they're moving, they look. I mean, they're not moving like you'd expect a human to move, but they're not human, and so it fits, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, so they work in with poison. They like poison their prey to keep it alive. And kind of the backstory with them is they were hunting like the bison. And so when there was those mass killings and all the bison almost went extinct at one point, they like switched eating the Native American tribes.
Well,
And
they were
then
just going with what was available, I would assume.
yeah, yeah, so they were eating the Native American tribes, and then so once the settlers came in, they kind of were hunting them as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, they use this poison, and you're not 100% sure how it works, but one of our main characters, because we have like four or five we're kind of riding with the whole time, gets attacked at that campfire scene and poisoned, and it's very slow acting, but it's like gnarly. Like when he's getting sacrificed, like when the Ute tribe comes in to use him as bait to sacrifice and poison the burrowers.
Hmm.
His eyes are like his one side's like all shrunk in. Like it's pretty gnarly. Good makeup. And yeah, it's a slow, painful death for the guy. Though he does make some questionable like choices. Like I don't know why he shot the one dude in the leg, the cook.
Well, I don't think he was intentionally trying. Like he was like, as you could tell, like he's probably pretty weak, and he was just trying to aim for them. But then
He shot
his
him.
hand like fell down and accidentally shot him in the leg.
And then he also accidentally shoots the one Native American dude, which leads to our main guy stepping in the bear trap, which was pretty
Well,
gnarly.
he also hits him too, or like
Yeah,
shoots right by him.
yeah.
Like I don't know exactly what happened there because I thought he like grazed him maybe, or like popped his eardrum because it was so close.
Yeah, it's yeah, so he dies and we learn right before that scene that Marianne has been either killed by these things or sacrificed because he finds a little pendant on their like little
Hmm.
necklace thing they had. So he knows she's dead. But he's like still trying to find out how to kill the things. And then he finds out sunlight. So they're kind of like vampires in a way too, I suppose.
Kind of. I mean, they are nocturnal creatures,
Yeah.
and if they're underground,
But they're
I mean,
supernatural
some
because
things.
they like burn up. Like a naked mole rat, you don't put outside and just like
Yeah, they're almost like vampires in a way. I mean, they kind of are because they talked about like how they would soften up the organs and then drink it,
sort
essentially.
of like a spider, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Like a
thought it
vampire
was gonna be
spider.
at first, just because like the way the blades of grass were moving, it almost looked like spiders, and I was just like, oh great, another giant spider thing. But
Yeah, no.
yeah,
Something
I was
completely different.
fooled.
Well, what about our first like main character death was Clancy? Clancy Brown's character, where he gets like just shot right through the throat when they're walking through the forest.
Yeah,
Like if
that
you're
was.
not expecting it, like he's just mid conversation. It's just like,
I mean, you're not expecting it, but you kind of are at the same time because they probably think it's like then it's back and forth. Like the Indians probably thought it was the whites, and the whites think it's the Indians, and that one general that I could have swore was probably dead, but then showed back up.
and he
Right?
just hangs the two at the end.
Yeah. That whole part was confusing because I thought they were just taken, like all of them were just taken.
What
And
do you
like,
mean?
well, because they were riding with them and then they rode off from them
Hmm.
and then they come across the wagon.
Yeah, and I guess it wasn't the same wagon.
It wasn't the same wagon, but like the chef dude was said that they all disappeared. So I assumed they were killed by the thing.
No, no, the chef guy, he disappears at the night when like four of the watch people disappear
Oh, he
before they
disappeared
ride
that
off.
night.
Yeah, yeah, before
Got
he,
it.
yeah,
See, I didn't know he disappeared then. I thought he like was still with them and then like left.
no, he left
Okay, so that makes
before.
sense why they showed back up
Yeah,
because they were probably going to get like more people or something.
yeah, and that's what. So when he saw like the big regiment, I thought it was the same one, but then when they come back and they find it's just like camera to the two Native Americans hung. I was just like, what? And then it sounded like the one like regiment came in and killed him, and then also killed the cook.
Well, they like severed his leg, but then he ended up bleeding out
Yeah,
because they probably
I
didn't
think
have.
they killed him. I think
Yeah,
it was on purpose. It sounded like he was just like healing his life.
well, because like he was saying that he was being hysterical, like he was probably telling them that the creature about the creatures, and they're just like, no, it's these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, they probably did take him out.
Yeah, I will say the ending without hope and like most of the people dying, I'm for. I just felt like it was kind of abrupt. He go like this movie is really actually kind of well paced up until the last 7 minutes, where everything he's killed the like eight or nine little burrowers or whatever.
Hmm.
He's going to go get a doctor. He comes back. The two natives are hung. The cook's been killed, and then the movie's over. So I just think if they just stretch a little bit longer, give it a little bit more time to breathe towards the end. I think that's the only really kind of. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it need a little bit more time.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily end. There is that ending part in like the middle of the credits.
Oh yeah, where the kid gets eaten.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they keep like showing him like when he's going to get help, he finds his hat and like doesn't question why his hat's on the, which you'd think the wagon would be there, right? Because the kid was right in the wagon, so unless someone came and picked it up, I suppose. But
Someone could have picked it up.
and then the girl should have been there like dead still.
Well, they probably consumed her because
But it
she
showed her
was,
body at one point, and like the bird like tore out one of her ribs.
yeah, which is weird to take just a rib.
Right.
Like that was a weird part, but like it probably just showed that she was probably consumed, guaranteed.
Well, yeah. When he walks or rides his horse away, you see the kid just sitting there, and I guess it's weird. So was it because his finger went into the ground? Is that why it wasn't paralyzed?
Like him?
Yeah.
Well, no, it was still paralyzed. Like her toes would twitch, remember? So they were paralyzed, but like I don't know, I think still part of them could like still like move like its last movements potentially.
Well, it was just weird because the camera kind of like panned to his finger going into the dirt and like going like that in the dirt.
Hmm.
and then he got poisoned. So was this like was because his finger was under the dirt where the burrowers live? Is that why it wasn't like paralyzed?
I don't know. Like I said, it could be something because like the girl's toes would like twitch too.
Yeah.
So it could be just something that they were doing in like their last moments potentially. Or
When
before paralyzation, then it's just like a twitch that continued or something.
yeah, when her foot was like twitching and they're just hearing the sound, did you think it was gonna be like a chest burster and just
Not necessarily there, but like when it like panned towards her chest, then I kind of thought something was gonna just like pop out of it,
right?
but it didn't.
So I mean, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add? I think we've it's pretty straightforward, like as far as the film goes, but I think it's well done.
Yeah, no. Obviously, the natives knew about them.
Yeah, the Ute tribe for sure.
You and the other one. I don't
Yeah, the
remember if they
girl.
mentioned what tribe that one was.
Yeah, where the way Faith is her name, her character's name.
Uh huh.
Talks about how her whole family was killed by the Burrowers, and I guess the Ute can fight them. I guess that's what they've been doing. Of course, now then it opens up like, how did they get that girl's like pendant? Did they actually come and take the girl? Like they found her and then like used her as bait? Like I don't know. We'll never know.
It's possible. Hard
Yeah.
to say. Or the Burrowers took them for, like to a certain point because like those two, the two youths were clearly like trying to find certain like people to use as bait for that.
Yeah, that was funny. It's okay. We fix. We fix.
Yeah, I don't know why it was just the two of them. Like, why not just have bring others along to help and try to get like more people to understand it?
Well, I think it's probably more budgetary reason than like movie telling. I'm sure if they had a little bit more of a budget, they probably would have had more character, especially there. But I think it works because then it adds the suspense because there's just a handful of them trying to fight off. You don't know how many creatures up until the end, and then there's still
It's a
more.
bunch.
Yeah,
No, there's always that was just probably the ones in that specific area
well,
because the ones that were probably by the farmhouse were still by the farmhouse.
they're probably the ones that ate the kid
Mm-hmm.
because they said it was like a 2 day ride to where the fort he was going to. And so it had been at least one day because then it was nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know why he was like sleeping. I mean, I get it, you're tired, but like something's like killing,
And it's always at nighttime too, because it doesn't happen during the day. I don't know why they didn't ever try to just sleep during the day and then just ride throughout the night.
right? Well, see now the one dude knows, but he doesn't know how to like what they mix together because the one guy was like so hell bent on like just killing the Native Americans that he just
True. Yeah,
yeah
and he was just like in shock at the end. He was just like, bro,
yeah
you
he's
have
just like
no idea.
I'm alive. I don't know where I'm gonna go though. Yeah, no, I thought it's a decent movie, and I was excited to start delving into more of the horror side of westerns because we haven't really. I guess maybe vampires. You could not that those ones were horror movies, but I'm excited to have finally started dipping our toes into the western horror.
Hmm. Yeah, it was not bad.
Well, we're just
It
getting
was
started.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. See, I thought you'd like this one. I was like, you know what, this is a good little starting point for the western horror. And I think Sam would actually enjoy it.
Yeah, because the holes were always really weird.
There was that one scene where you see one like kind of getting formed where the grass was like moving around.
Hmm.
That was like, ooh.
Yeah, that's what was happening. That was just like super dark, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? And a couple times, like, what did they step on? Like, did the one dude step on like a corpse? I think.
The horse stepped into a corpse. Yeah, yeah. Because remember when the horse like stepped and threw the guy off
Hmm.
Archer? They rode away and then it like showed like a corpse like kind of breathing. So it was like somebody or an animal or something that had been buried by these things.
Which is pretty crazy. And then they came across like a buried person or the buried girl.
Hmm. Which I
Which,
was like, why did they just send that poor kid by himself? Like you know it's dangerous out here. That poor mom too is never gonna know what happened.
right? Well, that's if she's even alive still, because she was in that area where things were happening. Never know. Died off screen, so it's not confirmed.
Right. We need a part two. Granted, this was a while ago. At this point, it's been over 10 years since it was made, so I don't think we're going to get a sequel. But who knows? We have had sequels come out after a long time. I just know it's not very well known, so maybe, hey, if you guys like it, help get the word out. Maybe they will. Who knows?
Possibly.
I'd be up to watch another one.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad with updated graphics.
Right. Yeah,
Visualizer of
the
the thing.
CGI models aren't as convincing. There's another one too that we almost watched where I'm trying to think if it's better than this one, but I know the graphics are not. But we'll see. We'll see what you think of it. It might be older too,
Fair.
but that would make sense.
Yeah, that'd be fair. I mean, I'm down. Not opposed from it.
Right? Hey, it was a good one. It gets us. We'll get to the vampire ones here at some point. I won't tell you which ones, so you're just like vampires. No,
Hmm.
this is the Bigfoot shooting an arrow.
Oh God,
That is a real thing.
I
The,
don't doubt it.
the Bigfoot wears like a hockey mask made out of its spoons.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that one at some point. Well, before we end off, any final thoughts about the Burrowers?
I think we kind of covered it all.
Right, it's pretty straightforward. But hey, if you guys are still watching and haven't seen the film, I don't know why you watch the spoilers, but go watch it. It's enjoyable.
Or did they just straight up set a forest fire when they were like burning that dude
Yeah,
and just like lit it on fire?
that's why the one guy was like, I don't want to do this." So that was the Burrowers, guys. Like I said, we are nearing our 100th Cools reviews, which we have a special deep dive planned for that one. We're not going to tell you what it is, but we're not far from it. So just keep your eyes on the channel. You'll see it here popping up shortly. But until then, for more Cools reviews, click that link to your left. The last couple have been some kind of lost episodes where we filmed well over a year ago. So sorry for the quality drop, but there's still some good stuff in them. But like I said, there's almost 100 of these, so you guys got lots of options to pick from. If you want more from Cool's Paranormal, click the link to the right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe.
Subscribe and switch that notification bell from personalized to all if you want to be notified on all of the upcoming videos.
And let us know, have you seen The Burrowers? And if you like the horror western genre, is there one you want us to review? Tell us in the comments below.